Larry Clisby, the living legend, here joining us, and Brian Neubert, also a living legend, but he doesn't want to
Definitely
be
living.
Yeah, we're all happy to be in that.
All
room.
happy to be living.
That is a true thing. I know Larry he always chides us. He's such a friend of the family here that, but it's really, I think it should be at me more than Brian, because Brian takes a very analytical approach to Purdue Indiana games. I get maybe a little more emotional about it because it's a big deal. It is a big deal, but you just said it is.
Basketball game.
It is a basketball game, Mark. I mean, you do have to like where Purdue has been of late after the first of the year for the most part. I mean, what do you see?
Well, I've been really surprised. I mean, but the surprise has been Travion Williams, and
Yeah.
with his blow up, I mean, that's like adding Michael Jordan to the lineup. I mean, the guy has been sensational. And I had in my time here, and it's over 40 years, I haven't seen a guy come off a potential walk-on year and then hardly play at all to, in 2 games, look as good as any player in the Big Ten Conference could.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I've never seen that.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to look at things like, oh, he's got to have some shortcomings. Okay, so he hasn't shot real well because he hadn't taken any shots. He's smart enough not to do that. And the way he rebounds is incredible, but I love his passing more than anything. I mean, as long as he has Brady along with him and he can keep throwing him the ball, he's going to find him. And he throws those darts in short space. Looks a little bit like Baker Mayfield, So I've been really impressed with that. I've never seen that in back-to-back games. I've never seen a 16-13 game by a freshman.
Yeah.
Have I?
Swanigan probably did it.
Well,
Maybe,
maybe,
yeah.
but he only had a couple games in double figures rebounding, I think, as a freshman. So, I mean, early on. But, yeah, I mean, it's just.
That was in 23 minutes.
Yeah. Will his minutes, I mean, does Matt have a dilemma, or does he just, I mean, with now, when Boudreaux gets back, and does that become an issue, or how do you deal, or are you happy to have some great options?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it's an issue with him. I'm assuming, like any person, if you had that guy playing for you, I'd say let's play him.
Yeah.
And let's see how far he can go.
Yeah.
Those guys know. The training staff knows what kind of longevity he has. I've been amazed at how good in shape he is.
Yeah.
How well he runs the floor.
Yeah.
How he does come up underneath and slams
Yeah.
them, and I mean, he's amazing to me.
I don't know if I'd call him quick, but he's got that quick little burst when he spins baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, when you have dimensions on your side, it's easy to create space for yourself to create that little spin, but he does have some quickness to him. His mind moves really quick, too. He's not turned the ball over. Purdue has kind of metamorphosized mid-season into this team that's throwing the ball inside again regularly, and they're not turning the ball over. He's not turned the ball over more than once in a game, and he's on high volume touches here too for a freshman.
How can you get it away from him, man?
Right.
I mean, I'm not
Those
going-
hands.
But he's not making bad decisions.
Yeah.
Throwing the ball into the 10th row.
The hands
Like,
are
a lot of
slick.
guys would.
I don't think I'd try to get it away from him. He might break my hand.
I think I like about him, he plays happy, man. He's faced, even when he's in adversity, even against Michigan State where, he played well, but things weren't going well in the second half, at least and again, I'm watching it on television, but he looks like a guy that's got a really good attitude towards playing. You find the same thing?
Yeah, I agree. I've been really, really impressed with him. Of course, all of us are going to say, hey, it's 2 games and, wait till the season's over and then we'll judge him, but it's pretty impressive, man.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I played college basketball, and I never smelled a 16 and 13. And so I mean that's an incredible achievement by a first-year player, in my opinion.
No question. I mean, that has been impressive. Brian, you look at that though. Does Purdue have to play differently though when he's in the lineup? I mean, is that a fundamental? Does the offense run differently? I mean, it does by definition because of the big body presence. But
I don't know if you have to play differently, but I think probably the players around him have to be more mindful of getting the ball inside when he's making himself available. I think they are inherently different defensively than they are with Matt Harms or Boudreaux on the floor. Travion Williams doesn't move as well on the perimeter. He moves well for a 270-pound guy, but I think Matt Harms, with his length and his ability to move his feet, is probably the better ball screen guy from a defensive perspective. I think Travion Williams' impact on the defensive glass obviously offsets any shortcomings he might have from a defensive perspective to a certain extent. But I think you are different offensively because you have to get him the ball when he's got a matchup, which to this point this season a matchup has been anybody. Because he's played all the best big men in the Big Ten and he's produced against all of them. So I just think he's a guy that everybody has to get the ball to. I do think that's probably a little bit of a philosophical shift for a team that's so guard driven and came into this season, obviously geared entirely to complement Carson Edwards. And it's not to say they don't play through Carson Edwards when Travion Williams on the floor. They certainly do. But they have another guy out there you legitimately run offense through, and you have to consider every single time down the floor.
Yeah, I would, reading your publication for last 8 months, all I've heard is constantly, who's gonna help out Carson, and how can Carson do this all by himself? Here we are, just early in the season. We got a new guy they got to worry about. So maybe he's the Carson helper. I don't know, but he could be.
Yeah. Our readers and fans and your legions of fans, how are you doing? I mean, you're obviously doing a good job on the broadcast and doing that. You are not a person that likes to draw a lot of attention to yourself, but that I know. But give me an answer to how in terms of this whole process and the impact that that the Purdue Nation has had on you.
Well,
Can you put that into words?
Well, I've said it before, and I haven't got along to thank everybody, which I'd love to do. Of course, I've lost about half of my letters. I've had so many of them, and they get blown in the wind and the whole thing. But the Purdue Nation, to me, and this Tyler Wentz story was going on, before mine, and so when I came into this loop, I did a couple of cancer things and programs, and I just had to, kind of back off a little bit because he was the story of the whole country, And the fact that I had 4-stage cancer really didn't matter at that particular time. But the one thing that I've learned and understood and am very thankful for is I'm talking about 95% of the Purdue fan base came to my support in terms of donations, great words, inspiration, religiously, and as I said before, it was like a funeral. You got to stop and look around and see how many people were being so kind to you, and most people aren't going to get a hold of you unless they like you. I'm not. Hey, let me write Cliff a letter. Hey, Larry, I never did like your work going back to 1980. They don't do that. They normally say, hey, I grew up with you, and I used to hide the radio in the closet, my dad's radio, hide in the closet, listen to you. But those are great stories for someone like me, and it also, what it does, it tells you that, and I've said it many times. Really, I've been a sports announcer for 50 years, and, what have I done? I'm not one of those oncologists. I'm not trying to save my life. And those people really do some unbelievable work, man. It's unbelievable. But the thing is that finally you get to the point where, all right, I can see it and I accept it, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. But boy, we got some great fans.
Yeah, you do, and you have. I think one thing that's great for you and is the the Matt Painter gang and and his staff, you know, the Elliot Blooms of the world, the people that are around, the Rob Blackmans, which you work with, guys that you get a chance to be around, are the kind of people that are also encouraging folks. I mean, they're positive. They love and want what's best for you, but they're also great people to be around.
Well, Ralph Taylor and
Yeah, well, certainly too.
Ralph Taylor and Rob Blackman and they contacted me every day here for 8 months, 9 months, every day.
Yeah.
How you doing? Doing okay? You know, eat, get your sleep, da da da. And Rob and Wes Scott, our engineer.
Yeah, great guy.
Wes takes care of me the logistical way. In other words, if I have trouble. The only problem I've had in my 2 months, 3 months of treatment is my legs aren't real good.
Yeah.
So I have trouble walking, and we're trying to get that corrected now. But Wes always, you know, he's always grabbing me, making sure they get out the bus right and things of that nature. Boy, I got some great guys. So.
Yeah, you do.
And your whole group. I mean, this isn't this is a Purdue thing, man. We've been around this for a long time, and we run into a lot of great people like you two. And
it's the fun part of being a part of this whole group, because it is. I think we see in these situations the support, and you've earned it, but there's something about that inner fiber of the people that go to bat. And there's no question that sustains all.
And
of
the
us.
coaching staff,
Yeah.
you know, Matt started it all with
Yeah.
an incredible donation
Yeah.
to me, and he's a great friend. People always say, "Well, how could you become the friend of a basketball coach?" And I said, you know, it's just where you go and who you hang out with, and you know, before you know it, you're shouldering up to people that you know that is. And I've known him since he played, and you know, he's a great friend, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, so I'm going to ask you what you think you'll see tomorrow. I know that you're not in the business of making predictions, but you watch a lot of basketball. You certainly watched a lot of Purdue basketball. It should be a fun environment tomorrow, Mackey.
I would think so. I'm wondering about the weather.
Yeah.
You know, that would bother me if that would hurt it at all. I hope it doesn't. Don't think it will.
I don't think it
I haven't
will.
seen anywhere where we're going to get slaughtered, but.
Yeah.
But I've been to those games. I remember the Minnesota game in the late 70s.
Oh, yeah.
They let the whole university into it. And I remember that so well because I lived south side of town back in the days before it was developed. And I had to walk from my house, which is 15, 16 houses into the subdivision, to the road just to get a ride.
Yeah.
And that was
Blizzard of 1978. That'd been about year one for you, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So, it'll be a great environment from that perspective. Any other parting questions for you? We're about a minute or so left in the show. Nothing to say. No, I think it will be a fun environment, and weather-wise, we could holler over at Chad and say, how many inches? What's it going to be? 4 to 7?
5 to 8.
5 to
Oh,
8.
now it's gone up.
And
5 to 8 for
blowing snow after the game?
blowing and drifting snow.
Up or south?
Yeah, in the south, less. More as you go north.
All right.
Live weather.
Our top story tonight. No, it is good. He's saying more if you're coming from the north, maybe a little bit worse up there. But you know what? I have a sense people are going to find their way to Mackey Arena tomorrow. It's an electric environment, and we're all looking forward to that game. For those of us that only have to go a couple miles, it's a little bit better from that standpoint. But it's going to be something. We're glad you stopped by. It's
Well,
a big deal for us.
I'm glad I could get out here and do it.
Yeah, I know. And now that he has,
Trust me.
yeah, I know that, and we don't take anything for granted. Now that he has access returned to Golden Black,
And I'm driving now, so watch out.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Yesterday was the first time I could drive in about 8 to 10 weeks.
all right, he's on the road because I asked him if Michelle drove him in. Nope.
Yeah,
that long?
I had an easy time getting over here. I was okay.
You were
I've
that
come
guy
over.
honking
I've
at
come
me, weren't
over
you?
here so often.
Yeah.
I could do it in my sleep anyway. So it wouldn't matter if I was half dead. I could probably make it over here.
That's what makes it special. So, all right, well, we want to thank Larry and Brian, of course, Tom Dienhart, New member of the family, and Greg Brom for joining us. Our sponsors, Hilton Garden Inn, Basham Reynolds, State Farm agent Trent Johnson, and Triple X. They've been with us. We're very much in debt to them as well for all their support of the show. We'll be back next week. I don't know when the men play on the road at Ohio State. What, Wednesday? Is that right? So we'll.
The road's gonna be covered in snow.
Yeah, it just Brian orders that up when he drives. That poor guy. It's tough from that standpoint.
I can tell you the weather forecast as soon as the schedule comes out every year.
Not good, especially for the road game. We'll look forward to doing it. I want to thank Gordon and Brad and all the folks at WLFI, Chris Collar as well, for all that they do for us. We're thankful for having them make the show easy to do, and if you missed part of it, replay will be up on our site probably and on WLFI site here within 90 minutes or so. So have a great week. Stay warm, be safe on the roads, and if you get to Mackey Arena, you might put a couple extra blankets in the car and make sure that you can get back home safely. But we'll look forward to seeing you next week, same time, Gold and Black Live. Have a great week, everybody.